Welcome, everybody. College football week 1 is in the books, which means it's time to look forward to week 2. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going to take a look at 5 things to watch in college football week 2. All right, as mentioned, we have week 2 on the docket for college football. There's some big games that we're going to want to watch this weekend. As a reminder for these articles, there'll sometimes be games to watch, sometimes be players, sometimes performances, sometimes maybe milestones. But it just gives me more flexibility to say 5 things. But a lot of them will be games to watch. And we'll get it started with the Texas-Alabama rematch. I mean, this is what everyone wants to watch this weekend. We have a Texas team that lost last year in maybe some controversial fashion to Alabama when they had them at home. This year, the hype is a little bit higher for Texas relative to last year. Alabama has some question marks to answer. At the quarterback position, Jalen Milroe looked good in game 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams play. I mean, Texas has the passing attack. Alabama is going with Joyless Murderball. Just kind of going into more of what happened last year. Quinn Ewers got hurt. That shoulder, ended up hurting him for a couple of weeks afterwards. Hudson Card came in and kept it close. He's going to want to play well in this game for his NFL draft stock and the fact that he missed last game. So as mentioned, Alabama expected to play more of the physical style, and Texas will probably air it out more. We have Texas former head coach Steve Sarkisian, Alabama former assistant Steve Sarkisian, now the Texas head coach. It's going to be battle of styles. Whoever wins this game will have maybe a leg up in terms of playoff competition later in the year. Specifically, if Texas wins this will be the best team they face pretty much all year. So this will be really huge for them. And Alabama, if they lose it, they pretty much have to go perfect the rest of the way to make the playoffs. So it has a lot of implications here. We're excited to watch. My pick, you can check out the college football picks video, but I think I'm going Alabama here. Just hard to pick against Nick Saban at home. Next one up, we have Notre Dame's offense versus NC State's defense. This one is more important in terms of the matchup of the offense versus the defense for a couple reasons. In 2022, Notre Dame had trouble moving the ball in the air. They went and got Sam Hartman from Wake Forest out of the transfer portal, the active leader in FBS passing yards. Looked good in his first few games, but that was against Navy and Tennessee State. He's passed for 445 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions on 82.5% completion. Now he needs to show it against a better defense. And NC State, they went and got Brennan Armstrong out of the portal to play quarterback, but their defense has some talented players too. They allowed 14 points against UConn in their season opener. UConn made a bowl game last year. It was on the road. But they have some solid guys to watch out for, including Peyton Wilson at linebacker and Aiden White at corner. So I think the defense could be pretty interesting. But really, this is a test to see if Notre Dame's offense is for real, because we're getting to the point now where Notre Dame's looked good the first couple games of the year. They play NC State, which is a significant test. And later on in the schedule, they have Clemson, Duke, Ohio State, actually, I think in 2 weeks from now. And then they have USC as well. So if their offense is for real, maybe they can do a little bit better than last year. And it's a good time to see if Sam Hartman can really help that passing attack for the Fighting Irish. Next up, we have Texas A&M's offense versus Miami's defense. A couple offense-defense matchups here. So Texas A&M really struggled on offense last season. They hired Bobby Petrino as offensive coordinator in week 1. They scored 52 points against New Mexico. It was a good look after last season, but we're really trying to see if they can do better against a good defense. And not just that, but whether Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher can work together and how that looks. Is Bobby Petrino going to be allowed to be creative? That's something that remains to be seen, because Jimbo's offense last year looked a little bit stagnant, like maybe lost in the past a little bit. So we'll see what they do against Miami. Florida played Miami, Ohio week 1, held the Red Hawks to 3 points. Plenty of talented skill players on their defense as well. Maybe future early round draft picks. Leonard Taylor on the defensive line, Cameron Kinchins at safety, both impact players. I think this is a game to watch just for these matchups specifically. If Texas A&M's offense is fixed, they could be a potential, SEC West sleeper this year. They have enough talent based on all the recruiting classes they brought in to do that. But it's just hard to believe after how bad last year looked that maybe that's totally fixed this year. And then for Miami, a very down year last year that a lot of it had to do with, maybe the quarterback position and the offense. They've got some new coordinators in. Let's see if they can improve this year, maybe put up some fight in the ACC. Next up, we have the Tulane upset bid. So Tulane lost 2 games during the 2022 season, but they were still able to go to New Year's Six Bowl where they beat USC. Some of the players have left, but some are back. Ty J. Spears is with the Titans right now. But the quarterback, Michael Pratt, is back. Senator Sincere Haynesworth is back. Some big names there. Dorian Williams is in the pros, but they got 2 of those guys back, which should help them. in this game. They were able to beat South Alabama in week 1, but the challenge gets tougher when they go travel to Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss last week beat Mercer 73-3. Things look good, but last season they started off the year really hot, and then they kind of faded down the stretch. This is one where they want to get because they want to start building up to the point where they were last year, and hopefully this year they can just hang on and do a little bit better. So Jackson Dart is back at starting quarterback for them. There was maybe some worries that Spencer Sanders would take over after transferring in from Oklahoma State, but Jackson Dart looked good in week 1. Quinshon Judkins back running the football, one of the best, if not the best running backs in the country. Bigger questions lie on their defense, but I do think this is a team that could survive this upset bid from Tulane. They know Tulane's coming. It's not like Tulane's going to take anyone by surprise this year after what they did last season. I don't know if Tulane will be able to keep up with Ole Miss's offense is the biggest thing here. Lane Kiffin just does such a good job of having an offense that usually puts up a lot of points, but this looks like this year maybe a little bit more balanced than even last year. All right, number 5, Colorado's follow-up. Week 1, Colorado shocked the world. Their preseason over-under win total was 3.5. They beat TCU, who was in the national championship game, after being 20-point underdogs on the road. It was an exciting game. Shedeur Sanders had a really good game, 510 passing yards. Travis Hunter played well, playing both ways. I think 87% of the snaps. He had an interception where he broke on the ball in just an alarming fashion that only an NFL professional could do, and even a very good one could do. Also had over 100 yards receiving. They've hit the transfer portal. They have a very talented roster. Just a lot of people didn't think it would be able to mesh together so quickly. A lot of credit goes to Coach Prime for that. A lot of credit goes to Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator who came in from Kent State, and then also obviously the players we already mentioned. So they got the big win in week 1. Do they have a little bit of a letdown now that they're going to week 2? They're at home for their week 2 matchup. They play Nebraska. Now, Nebraska had a heartbreaking loss in week 1 where they played Minnesota, and Minnesota came back in the very end, had a very cool catch in the end zone. Matt Rule was also at the transfer portal, but I don't know what to make of this Nebraska team. It didn't look good against Minnesota. Offense just didn't really flow. Jeff Sims, the transfer quarterback from Georgia Tech, would have expected to see a little bit better from him in this week. So the odds have shifted a lot because Colorado was the underdogs in this by I think like a touchdown, and now they're actually favored to win. So they have a target on their back. They already had a little bit of a target on their back with Deion, who my favorite athlete of all time, Coach Prime, how he's kind of shown himself, how he showed players the door. But can they perform more that the target's even more on their back now? They know Colorado, as Deion says, we're coming. They're here. So we're going to see what they do in this one. Can Colorado win? This has been a good story for college football. We usually get these coaches who just kind of give football answers, don't really have much personality, and it's always good when we get coaches who kind of show off a little bit more personality than that. So can they follow up? That's what I'm watching this weekend. Those are the 5 things I'm watching this weekend. What are you watching this weekend for college football? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.